Looks like I'm live. It's 4:21 Pacific Standard Time here on the West Coast. And I am talking about, let's see, what did I title this? I forgot exactly, but it had to do with CD sale. Oh, right. You can sell high-priced CDs on eBay too, or I sell them, and you can too. So I'm going to launch right into that. The reason that I'm talking about that is because over the past couple of days, I've made 2 higher-priced CD sales, and it just reminded me, this isn't the first time. I've done it quite a few times on eBay, and it just reminded me of for newbies, if you're pretty new, then you didn't have a chance to get into the music category and sell CDs, which is unfortunate. I don't know why Amazon did that. I mean, it's good for people like me because there's less competition, but for new sellers, it's not the greatest because you can't diversify. You can diversify within books, but you can't, like DVDs are also closed, the category for selling DVDs and music, so you can't, for the most part, as far as I understand, you cannot get into the music category. But if you're unable to do that, you can always try eBay. Now, certain titles, CD titles that sell well on Amazon, FBA, are not necessarily going to translate to good sales on eBay. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But one thing I found that works pretty well is the higher rank CDs on Amazon tend to, not always again, but a lot of the time tend to do pretty well on eBay. Basically the ones that are right. So the ones that have a very low supply. So what I mean is that if you look on Amazon, there's not very many copies available. And then if you look on eBay, there's not very many copies. So what I would say with low supply, I would say from 0 copies to about 5 or so. Even 5 might be a little bit too much. Ideally, there's no copy on there, or there's 1 or 2 at most. And those 1 or 2 are priced really high. And you quite possibly might be able to price it a little lower and get the next sale, because often those prices are just way too high as far as I'm concerned. They're a little bit unrealistic. And for people that are watching this in the future or not watching it live, about 3 minutes in and no one has joined the live stream, I hope that one day into the future, hopefully sooner than later, based upon me consistently uploading, that I will that a lot of people will watch my videos, even no matter what time of day it is, that they'll jump on here and they'll be watching, and I'll always have viewers because it's much more rewarding for me and entertaining for you to take questions and just to see that you guys are watching. But anyway, so for right now, for 3.5 minutes, I'm talking to myself, but nonetheless, it's okay. This is for people watching this in the future. We got somebody on here now. That's good. So what I kind of want to look for are CDs that are low supply. So there's not many of them available. So first of all, Amazon. Are there very many copies on Amazon? If there's very few, that's a good sign. You go on eBay and check if there's very few. Also, I would check with Discogs, DISCOGS.com, I believe, Discogs. And you can look on there as well. I use their app and their website a lot if I'm doing some research, because you can find out if they have any copies. Sometimes they won't even have copies. One of the CDs that I sold over the past couple of days, Discogs does not have any copies. I think eBay had 1 copy, and I can't remember if Amazon had any copies. But those are the 3 biggest ones that I look for. But if I want to sell on eBay, I want to have anywhere from 0 to 5, but hopefully more like 0 to like 1, 2, 3 at most. You can still possibly do it. I'm talking about the ones that are really rare now. There's ones that are pretty rare, but not as rare, where there might be like 5 copies and the prices are all over $20 or much higher, and you can still, get a sale off of that. So the other thing to consider is And I'm going to show you the 2 sales that I made. But the other thing to consider is demand, so that there is a demand even if it is slow. So you can look on Amazon to see how many sales the item has got uh, based upon Keepa data to see if there's been very many sales. But if there is actually a demand, because if you see a CD that has no rank, it means that particular listing has never sold. But if it has like 1 million rank in music, that's really high, which means it might have only sold once in the last year, in the last 18 months, or something like that. So there's a very low demand. And then look on eBay. Of course, eBay, just by using eBay, you can only go back a few months. I believe it's 3 months. I'm not exactly sure. And then you're going to find to see if there's any sales. If there's 0 sales, and you look on Discogs, it'll tell you when the last one sold. And you can kind of figure out which, or from all that information, you can kind of decide whether it's one that you want to put on eBay. But I would say if it's very, very low supply, 0 to 1 or 2, if there's a demand, at least there's some sales happening, even of other titles from the same artist, then it's probably a good idea to be the only or one of the very few copies available on eBay. And then these are ones that I'm talking about that are higher priced. So I would say at least $20+, and much higher as well. You can definitely go much higher, but I would say at least $20 to kind of, if you want to go this route to diversify from FBA or from FBA, let's say from Amazon, then it's a good idea to build up this inventory on eBay. So some of the things that are good about doing that the fees are lower on eBay than on doing FBA. You also don't have to do, so eBay, it's basically like 10% of your sale. You have to, usually what I do is free shipping, so I'll pay for the shipping, which is only $266 media mail. And then PayPal takes a small percentage. I think it's like, I don't know exactly, but it's like 3%, 5%, something like that. So you're looking at like around 13, 15% of fees based upon a higher percentage in general. Amazon, of course, depending upon how much the item goes for. The percentage it goes down a bit. Of course, there's no inbound shipping for FBA. You can sell it merchant fulfilled on Amazon and keep it yourself like you do with eBay, but there's no inbound shipping if you're comparing it to FBA. Also, if you're going to build up an inventory on eBay of these type of CDs, CDs are smaller, they take up less space. So you could have hundreds of them on just one small bookshelf. Like I have hundreds of CDs in my garage on a smaller bookshelf. Even if I had 1,000 CDs, it wouldn't take up that much space, like a tall bookshelf. If you have no space whatsoever, then I understand. But if you at least can have like a 5 or 6 bookshelf, and you can pack it with CDs, then higher priced CDs like these, then it's not going to take up that much space compared to books, for instance. So like I talked about before, that the higher the Amazon rank, typically the better. So a lot of times I'll find these high ranked CDs on Amazon that don't make sense to do FBA or even merchant fulfilled. And there's a few copies on Amazon. I look on eBay and it's going for more money. Sometimes they're going for good money on Amazon as well, but I feel that some of those more obscure titles do better on eBay. So what to look for are more obscure titles, or titles you've never seen before, artists you've never seen before. They might be kind of corny looking, silly looking, different or weird names, without being judgy, just to say that this might be funky, they might stand out. So those are kind of the ones you want to look for. Having sold books and CDs, but having sold CDs for a long time now and gone through probably tens of thousands of them through Gaylords and sourcing out in various places, I can spot one that is worth looking up for this type of. Hello, how you doing? We have our first chat going. So the weirder, the more obscure. If it's an artist, good. If it's an artist you've never heard of, I mean, not that you've heard of every artist, but the more you do this, the more artists you'll come across. Ones that I never heard of before, but now I see them all the time in different types of musical genres. So you kind of want to look for that. when you're trying to find CDs. And this could be whether you're in bulk, if you're not doing bulk at all, which is most people are going to see this video, and if you're at a thrift store, if you're at a garage sale, if you're at even a book sale, there can be a lot of CDs, estate sales, that type of thing. Maybe you're buying a bunch from one person. You can go on Craigslist and you'll often find people getting rid of 200 CDs, 400 CDs or more, saying that they're getting rid of their personal collection, etc., or whatever reason. And those are, good places to find a lot of these, higher priced, low supply but steady demand CDs. Yeah, I totally agree. Nothing more frustrating when scanning and finding a gem than the disc is thrashed. Yeah, for sure. That happens a lot when you're dealing with CDs. Kind of similar to books that you scan it, and it's a great book to sell, great profit. Let's say it's going for like $40, and then you open it up, and it's really badly underlined, crossed through, marked on. Maybe the spine is messed up. Maybe there's some pages torn out. Maybe it's just too rough a shape. I found those plenty of times. Same thing with CDs. Now, fortunately, you can get an Eco Pro or something similar to resurface CDs, but that's expensive. It's about $1,000, and not everybody can afford that, especially when they're just starting out. I don't recommend it unless you're going to do a high volume of CDs or DVDs. But definitely some discs are so bad, they're so scratched up or worn that even with a resurfacer, it might make it a little better, but it can't completely get it out. What's the single best CD you found? Good question. I'm not exactly sure. Well, I'll tell you that, let me see. I think on Amazon, I've definitely sold a CD for around like $80 or so. I don't think I've ever broken $100 for a CD. I have for a book. I sold what were not CDs, but they were Anthony Robbins. It was a what is it called? His program from the 90s. It was brand new, still in the packaging, unopened, and I got it for $5 and sent it into Amazon, and it sold for like $290. But that's not a musical CD. That's like an audio book type of a, motivational type of deal. But as far as a music CD, I think on Amazon it was around, yeah, it was the nicest one, and it was probably within the first year of me doing Amazon. I couldn't believe it. I just stumbled upon it at a garage sale or an estate sale. It was sitting out in the garage. On the driveway, $5. The woman just wanted $5. I gladly, after I saw the prices, took it and then sent it in, and that was a crazy sale. But aside from that, I probably had close to $100, probably like $80 or so. So talking about that, I wanted to show you guys. So I had two sales. I had this one 2 days ago, and then I had another one. So this one I'm going to show you here was amongst a pile I had in my living room that I've been meaning to take photos of and list on eBay. So I've been sitting there for a while, and I finally listed it, and once you know, it sold pretty much immediately. So it's Thomas Anders, who I looked up, I never heard of before. It turns out this was, he's a German guy. And this was his it's his fifth album, and his first one in Spanish, called Barcos de Cristal. You can see it here. There we go. $24.99. I can never figure out how to do this, right? So $24.99. Yeah, definitely Amazon has blocked a lot. So this one was good. This was one that I believe I pulled out of a Gaylord. So it didn't cost very much. We're talking like, a nickel or something, or a penny. And I listed it and immediately sold. This is one that there were very few copies. I don't think there's any copies on Discogs. I don't know about Amazon, but eBay, I think there was one other copy going for a lot more. Way, way more. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, but I think it was going for a lot more. So that was the first one, $24.99. You say, too bad Amazon has blocked. Let me see. Let me go on Amazon and check. Well, here, I'll do it this way. Yeah, there's 2 on Amazon. Yeah. So the rank on Amazon for this is 1,205,717. And there's 2 copies going for $133 and $134. And these are big. Yeah, both of them are, I would say, medium-sized sellers. 6,300 ratings and 4,500 ratings. One of them even has a photo. Yeah, so I would never I would never FBA a CD that's ranked over 1 million. I just wouldn't do it. I would list it merchant fulfilled, but when I looked that up, let me see, on eBay. I'm trying to remember here if there's another one. Yeah, so there's 2 more copies of this CD on eBay. One is going for $400, and then another one's going for $29.99 plus shipping. So it's about $7. So I would rather sell mine for, and that one was new, I believe, that $30-something. Yeah, that's new. So mine is used, even though it's in good condition. I'd rather sell mine for $24.99, than wait around to try to get more money for it. To me, that's great. That's a great return. I'm going to make like $20 or so profit. And then the other one, I don't even know how to pronounce so here it is. So this one is a date with a turquoise, $57.99. So I sold this one for $57.99. And the turquoise, according to, where did I find it? Discogs, were initially formed in 1964 in Kansas, state of Kansas. And they've put out 4 albums. And this was their very first album from 1998. And on Discogs, there's not 1 copy. The last one that sold was in January. I don't know about Amazon. The turquoise. Let's see on Amazon. There it is. 1 copy. And this rank, it's 565,000 rank. And there's 1 copy, like new copy, for $69.55 merchant fulfilled by a pretty, like a medium size 2,000 ratings seller. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. $57.99. Those are 2 great sales. That's $25 and $58. Wow, I cannot do the math right now. Yeah, it's like $80. So he says, check out Vinyl Asylum on eBay. He does auctions and gets crazy bids. So he must have rare stuff. Do you keep or collect any CDs? I do. Not a ton, but I do have a bit of a collection, certain CDs. But I don't. Yeah, I do for sure. There's certain ones that I just don't want to sell. CDs will have a resurgence just like vinyl. I think that CDs are, so vinyl, yeah, vinyl has really, I did a video a little while back, not too long ago, about CD, so physical music sales, CD and vinyl outpaced digital downloads. I think in 2017, either 2016 or 2017, I believe 2017. So I think it was over $1 billion worth of new sales of CDs and vinyl. So vinyl sales actually went up year over year, and CD sales went a little bit down. it wasn't a major downswing for CDs, but um, yeah. But you know, it's gone down a little bit, I think. And I saw an article earlier in the year about Best Buy. They're stopping. They're not going to sell. Sorry, Target. No, it was Best Buy not going to sell CDs anymore, and Target was going to do it on demand or something like that, or vice versa. So, but I don't think, I kind of look at it as similar to but different with VHS tapes, and how there's just going to be a lot. So new is one thing, but used and reselling is not going to stop. It's just going to keep getting. It's going to get better the older CDs get. Just like with vinyl, like like you said, the guy on eBay who's gets crazy bids on eBay for. I'll have to check him out for vinyl, is because he probably digs around and finds the good stuff, and people know it and they're willing to pay good money for it because it's rare. It might be a original first pressing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not super familiar. Yeah, they're digital, but with vinyl. But yeah, they're digital. Yeah, but they're saying physical CDs and vinyl. But yeah, I think people like handling the vinyl, and the CDs. They like the artwork. They like reading the liner notes. They like listening to an entire album versus downloading one song. And if you can download a whole album, on Amazon or iTunes or whatever, but having the actual CD or actual vinyl in your possession and listening to a whole album is a whole different experience. Another good thing about CDs versus vinyl is they're small and you can play them in most cars. So you can't take your vinyl along and play it in the car. I mean, granted, you could download it to your computer and put it on your iPod or whatever, but the CD is really convenient to just again, you could put it on an iPod, but if you don't want to, you can bring it with you and stick it in the car. Probably. It says 75% of the vinyl comeback has been engineered by record companies. They've been losing money for years and needed to recoup money. Yeah, definitely. Subscriptions are where the money is now, but vinyl has made a big comeback, and I think the the younger generations, people in their 20s, are millennials, but also even younger than them are especially people now. Once they will get out of high school, if they went to college, get out of college, they get their first job, get into their career, start having some extra money, and they want to start collecting records and listening to records on their record player. Or it's probably more along the lines of records, but it could be CDs as well. I think it's definitely something that it's going to continue to do well. I saw a lot of CDs on Amazon and a good amount on eBay, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, and I don't think it will. I think also people that are retiring now, so baby boomers, are into the older stuff and into either getting a vinyl record or getting a CD. Also, there's just certain stuff that's not available to stream or to digitally download that you could only find on CD or on vinyl. That's often the case too, similar to VHS tapes. There's thousands of VHS titles that are not available on DVDs, so you can only buy the VHS tape. And if you're able to find those and list those, you can sell those for good money on Amazon or on eBay as well. So it's kind of in a similar vein, which is why I've really enjoyed getting into CDs. So yeah, I think that's anyway, back to the point of the video, is I think it's a good opportunity with eBay. If you're not able to sell on Amazon, like you said, what did you say? Too bad Amazon has blocked lots of media items. Yeah, they blocked DVDs and now music. So it's a lot of people cannot do DVDs. I'm not able to sell DVDs on Amazon, which is why I do all of them on eBay, and I've done really well. What do you call it? Yeah. So it's an alternative. eBay is an alternative, especially for higher priced CDs. You can build up a nice little inventory and have steady sales of higher priced items on eBay to supplement your Amazon income if you're doing books or other types of items. It says VCRs are good sellers too. I've sold a good amount of VCRs, probably a dozen or so through Amazon. I believe I've sold not that many through eBay, but I have sold some through FBA on Amazon and through Merchant Fulfilled, because the last company in Japan, or the last company in the world, happened to be in Japan, who made new VCRs, stopped making them either in 2017 or 2016. So there's no new VCRs. You can only buy all the ones existing out there in the world, and that makes them more rare or rarer. So that as a reseller, certain VCRs are going to go for good money. The more high quality ones, that type of thing. Because believe it or not, there are people that still collect VHS tapes or are movie buffs and can only find certain titles on VHS, and so they have to have a VCR, a good VCR, working VCR, to watch that movie, because they're not going to find it on DVD and they want to own a copy. And I've sold a lot of those, well, not a lot, but I would say like a good amount of VHS tapes in my FBA career. Sold over 100, probably like 130 or so VHS tapes. I kind of got out of it. But when I find them, like I just found one like a month or so ago and sent it in. I think I put it in a video. It was like a $30 or $40 VHS tape that I found for like, I don't know, a quarter or 40 cents or something at the thrift store. So for sure, old technology is coming back. It's not as popular. It's not just VCRs. Lots of old technology. It could be turntables. It could be tuners. It could be a lot of different things. There's a lot of people on eBay. I mean, on YouTube, well, and on eBay, but making videos on YouTube talking about old technology as well, electronics, that type of stuff. But VCRs are definitely good. I have a couple sitting up here that I haven't been able to sell yet. But I kind of got away from VCRs, but that's another story. Yeah. I said it's baby boomers and Generation X who have many home videos on VHS and never digitized them and sold their VCR at a garage sale in 2005. Yeah, for sure. I still believe there's, I don't know if there's millions, but there's thousands, tens of thousands, maybe more of VHS tapes sitting in people's homes, in their closets, in boxes, sitting in storage units. Even sitting on their shelves on full display, because they still like to watch them, or they still like to show them off, or they're a good conversation piece. There's so many VHS tapes that are still sitting in people's houses, and some people don't even know they have them. It's still, the technology is not old enough to where people, it's not like 8-track tapes, or like those old vinyl, which I come across sometimes, where they're like really brittle. I forgot the name of them. They're from like, almost 100 years ago, from the 1940s or 1930s or something. So yeah, definitely VHS tapes are still in many people's possessions, just as are a lot of vinyl records. So there's still a lot of value out there, or it's worth it to go to yard sales and estate sales and that type of thing, because you're probably going to be able to find some good VHS tapes. It's going to be a very low percentage, don't get me wrong, very low percentage. But if you have a good eye for it, and I have a pretty good eye for it because of my experience with selling them, then certain titles and cover art, so certain names of programs and the way that they look are just going to stand out. The colors, the design, that type of thing. Most VCR sales I have are users with zero feedback. Yeah, they just go on there to buy a VCR probably. So yeah, I think this is a good idea. If you can't sell CDs on Amazon, try it out. The higher priced ones on eBay for sure. Let's see. So today I called a guy. This is a different topic. Whoops. So I found a new contact locally, very close to where I live, who sells Gaylords of books, but also of mixed media. And I'm going to buy mixed media from him starting next week. It'll be the first time I'll do it. I'm going to buy 3 Gaylords from him and see how they go. He said he's willing to go down on the price if the Gaylords aren't as profitable as I would like because his price is a little bit higher than I've paid in the past. Excuse me. So so I'm going to try that out. It's going to be an experiment, and I feel pretty good about it because he's a nice guy, and he's got a sizable business going, and he doesn't have anyone with any consistency or quantity that wants the mixed media. So they're kind of piling up. So I look at it as an opportunity for myself to go deeper into media. So more CDs to send into FBA, more CDs to sell on eBay, and then more DVDs to sell on eBay as well. Oh, yeah. And he's saying that he saw garage sales, or they want $50 for Disney VHS tapes. But there are certain, what are those called? There's certain, what are they called? Black label or blue label or something, those VHS tapes from Disney that do actually go for good money. Isn't that true? I assume most of them don't, but I'm assuming there are some that are legitimately expensive, right? That go for good money. But yeah, I guess you have to have an eye for that. How do I find Gaylords? No, so Gaylords, if you find a good, so, okay. So the direct source for Gaylords, where people actually, the companies that actually fill the Gaylords are going to be recycling centers, recycling companies. They're going to be thrift stores, thrift store chains. That's mostly going to be it. So a lot of times big chains like Goodwill, like what are they called? No, what's it called? The other one. The other one's similar to Goodwill. They have too much. They get too much donations, too many donations, and what they do is they sell off the excess in large quantities of Gaylords. So the people I bought through, they're not the direct source. They're not the recyclers or the thrift stores. I did buy a Gaylord from a recycler, and it was crap. It was a waste of time and money, but it was a good experience to learn the hard way. So these are people that have already bought them from the direct source, and then they're reselling them to people like myself. So they're making a little bit of profit off of what they're buying in probably massive quantities. So yeah, that's basically how it works. So the by and large, the mixed media. So it depends on who you buy from. So if you buy from somebody who's a reseller and they've already gone through the Gaylords, then of course you don't want that, unless you're doing like flea market or swap meet or something like that. If you want to resell on Amazon and on eBay, you're going to want to have Gaylords that have not been gone through by anybody. They've just been dumped in there directly. If they're from thrift stores, then they're like direct donations, which means the thrift store has not gone through them to sell them themselves and just thrown the stuff they don't want into the Gaylord. It's stuff that has not been gone through by anybody. Those are going to be, by and large, should be pretty valuable. Every city, every region, it's going to vary depending upon where they are, who's donating, where they're getting their materials. Some cities, some areas might have higher priced books than others, might have better CDs or better DVDs, but you just have to try out your sources. So basically these Gaylords, and I'll make some videos about them when I buy some next week. The ones that they're going to be mixed media. So it's going to be mostly DVDs, CDs, and then those two are going to be the bulk of it. And then there's going to be a good amount of video games. So there could be PC video games. There could be PlayStation, Sega, Xbox, all different types. And then there's going to be software, all different types of software. And I've done pretty well with some software on eBay. Not too much on Amazon, but on eBay. And then there's going to be some VHS tapes in there. There's going to be some cassette tapes, but usually not that much. It just depends on the source. I've gotten some that had a lot of VHS tapes, a good amount of audio cassette tapes, and even some vinyl thrown in there for fun. And you'll find the random book. But by and large, it's going to be DVDs, CDs, video games, and software. So when it comes to, you're asking me what percentage of the Gaylord actually gets listed or sold. So for Amazon FBA, for mixed media, if it's all mixed up, what I found is I get about 900 CDs, and this will be a new source. So I'll see if it's the same numbers. It might be different, it might be more, it might be less. But I found about 10% of those that I could do FBA. So about 80 or 90, 100 on a good with a good Gaylord will go to FBA, and the rest of those CDs, there would be very few I would do merchant fulfilled because I don't do that much merchant fulfilled, and the rest would go to eBay. The good ones, the better priced ones that I feel like I'd sell individually, I'll do individually. But the rest of them will go into lots based on categories that are artists. But usually I can sell with a mixed media, most of it on either Amazon or eBay. So CDs go to Amazon, the good ones, the ones that I can sell on Amazon, FBA, and the rest are going to go to eBay. So for now, that's how I do it. There's other options you can do if you want to do flea markets or swap meet to sell off a lot of that stuff quick and get some of that money back. You can do that. eBay, of course, takes a little bit more time because of the photos and all that type of stuff and the research and the listing. But I'm at the point where I need to hire somebody, and I've tried a couple times, hasn't worked yet. But I'll hopefully find somebody to help me list on eBay, because if I have somebody listing even like 20 hours a week, putting up like 100 to 200 items a week, I'm going to be able to get through all this extra stuff I find for eBay and make a lot more money off of it quicker, and be able to speed up the entire process. So the percentage of a mixed media Gaylord is going to be pretty high that I can resell for money. So so if you're spending $200, $250, $300 for a mixed media, you're going to make your money back and more just off of FBA. And then the rest of it is going to be pure profit off of eBay. Or if you do local sales, a lot of people do is they'll rent out or lease a small warehouse space, and in the front of it they'll start almost like a store. And people do this with books all the time, but you can do it with other media. And they'll put out a bunch of books, they'll put out a bunch of CDs, put out a bunch of DVDs, or all of them, and they'll do sales. They'll do like weekend sales. They'll advertise on Facebook or locally, and that's how they'll sell a lot of that extra stuff they can't sell on Amazon or don't want to hassle with on eBay. That's another more involved way to do it, though, which of course requires money to lease the space. It doesn't have to be massive or anything, and of course it depends on where you live as to how much it's going to cost. So that's a long answer to your question. So I'm excited about the new Gaylord Source. We'll see how it goes. I hope it goes well. If it goes well, he basically has not endless, but a lot that he could sell me on a consistent basis. And maybe it'll light a fire under me to get some help. And I would love to get a little small warehouse space, have somebody help me sort, and then have somebody who's listing on eBay. If I have those two people, I could get through a lot of Gaylords and make a lot more money and provide people with some jobs as well. So we're up to 7 people watching. I know there's some new people. I've gone off tangent here on a tangent talking about Gaylords. I did start the first 25 minutes or so talking about big CD sales. You can rewatch the video if you want to see that. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but I had a couple good sales. So yeah, just talking about Gaylords. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know. Please, there's 7 of you watching. I see you. I don't know who you are. And the other thing I want to talk about, so the Gaylords is great. Looks like it could be a good opportunity or a great opportunity. And then I want to talk about split shipments. So I sent today, I sent out 83 items, mostly books with some CDs sprinkled in there for FBA. Sent it all at FedEx. It was like 10 or 11 different warehouses. And I ended up spending way too much on shipping, inbound shipping, because of all the split shipments. And one of the big problems is that the books, hey Jen, how you doing? Glad to see you. Yeah, I decided to come back to it. and the books are heavier, they're bigger. So compared to when I did all CDs, or mostly CDs, or 99% CDs, the splits are killing me. So I'm going to have to go back to CDs, doing mostly CDs, and or try to list through Exceller list in private mode, which seems to produce less splits according to a lot of people. It would be an experiment to try it out, and I would have to label them afterwards when I go into Seller Central. So that whole process would have to be a new way of doing it for me. But the split shipments have become so expensive that it's just crazy putting all this effort into it and then seeing way too much money go to just send this stuff to Amazon because they're unwilling to keep it to reduce the split shipments. They've been doing it for a long time. So I'm going to have to probably go to CDs mostly, and or try a different method of reducing my shipments, split shipments from like 10 or 11 down to hopefully like 2 or 3 would be nice. Yeah, so that's just something that's I'm going to spend the next week and a half going through a lot of CDs I have in my what do you call it, in my storage unit, in anticipation of getting these new Gaylord shipments next week of 3 Gaylords. So I'm going to give FBA a pause in terms of doing the shipments and whatnot, just to get through a lot of the CDs so I can make more room and start selling those off before I start doing some sorting through Gaylords and pulling out some CDs that I can send in to Amazon. Kind of put it on pause for now, just briefly anyway. So that's basically it, guys. I think I'm gonna call it the video. It's 42 minutes in. Since you guys don't have any questions or comments, I'm probably gonna call it and make another video tomorrow. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully those who tuned in late or go back and watch the beginning, or who are watching this into the future, days from now, hours from now, weeks from now, years from now, we'll maybe try to apply the higher price CDs to eBay. The 2 I sold, one for $24.99, one for $57.99, were very high ranks on Amazon, very low supply, but a steady demand. I mean, a slow drip of a demand, but a demand. And these are higher price CDs. So these are ones you can do really well with on eBay, especially if you can't sell CDs on Amazon. This is a great alternative to make some more money, and it's pretty simple to do. So thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you get the notifications. You hit that bell so you get the notifications when they go live. Please, hello, Brenda. How are you? Aloha. Are you in Hawaii? And please like the video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, don't like it. And share it and all that if that's something that you do. But definitely please subscribe. And thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Jen. Oh, okay, cool. Hawaii. All right, cool. So all over the place. I love that. I hope it's going well there for you and you're able to find some good stuff to resell. But thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll make another video tomorrow. And as always, keep booking, guys.